Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch and welcome back to my kitchen. I am really happy to have you here with us today. I just came back in from milking and I'm just about to strain my milk. But while I was out milking this morning, the sun was just coming up over the mountain and it looked absolutely spectacular. So I had to bring my camera out and film it for you because it took my breath away. Pretty nice way to wake up, hey? That sunrise, oh my gosh. So now we're just going to, strain milk and get it put into the fridge. You always want to get freshly milked milk right into the fridge so that there's no opportunity for bacteria to start growing. So I'm just running the milk through a fine strainer to take out any little bits of dust or hair that might have gotten into it during the milking process. I like to get all of my milking stuff washed up right away. We're only getting around a gallon of milk per milking right now just because of the time of the year it is. Our cow is going to be dried off, which means that we are going to stop milking her in the next probably month or so because she is due to calf at the beginning of March and we like to give her a couple of months break in between. Good news is though I do have another cow that I am able to start milking once we dry her off so that we won't be running out of milk. We are going to be making some waffles this morning and cooking them on the wood cook stove in our antique waffle maker. I did this a couple of times last year and they made absolutely the best waffles I have ever had. So delicious, but it is a little bit of an art form. I have to say it has been quite a learning curve to figure out how to actually cook with it. But once I got it figured out last year, it was pretty consistent, but this will be my first time doing it this year. So I'm sure it's gonna take a few waffles before we get it just right. I did get my stove lit this morning, but it has gone down since then. So we're gonna get it loaded up and really hot. Just going to use my bellows here to get it really going.
Got it.
Thank you. This recipe is from Barefoot in the Kitchen and it's a recipe we've been using for a long time now and it is a really good one. But I do need my big giant bowl. Hey Bear, can you run downstairs and grab my big bowl for me? Oh, it's so tiny. You've grown so much. We need butter and milk, salt, baking powder. The key to a good waffle recipe is quite a lot of fat in the recipe. That's what gives it its flavor, allows it not to stick to the waffle iron, which is something that I learned last year. I tried a pancake mix in the waffle iron on the cook stove and it was an absolute disaster. So you do need lots of fat if you're gonna make waffles. While I'm waiting for the flour to come back up, we will melt our butter. The nice thing about this recipe is you can put in the number of waffles you want and then you will get the correct number of ingredients. So we need just about a cup of butter, just under a cup of butter. And we'll mix up all our dry ingredients first. So we need 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, we need 3 tablespoons of baking powder. We're also going to need some vanilla, which was easy to find because I cleaned my spice cupboard yesterday. I am so happy to be able to open this up and see all of the things that I use every day in this cupboard. I took out everything that I don't use daily and moved that down to the pantry so that that cupboard is easier to work with. I am actually out of all-purpose flour right now. My order of all-purpose flour is going to be coming in probably next week, and I'm really excited to share that source with you. I just want to wait until I actually get the flour and make sure that it all works out before I do that. But it is BC grown wheat and it is organic, and I am so excited to be able to find a reliable source of organic, localish wheat. How many I need to pay attention here? What did we need? 4 cups. Keep in mind that when you're using whole wheat flour instead of all-purpose flour, it absorbs moisture differently, so sometimes you need to add a little bit more of whatever the liquid ingredients are in your recipe. This recipe does call for sugar, but I am going to substitute honey instead of sugar. I am trying to get back into the habit of using honey again now that I have enough to use in baking. I've been using sugar over the last couple of months because we haven't had honey, but now that we do, it is actually my preferred sweetener. Okay, we have all that mixed up now. We're going to be doing our dry and wet ingredients separately. I just find that does work better for waffles. Normally, as you know, I don't do that, but today I will be. So into here, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And 1 cup of butter. And if I was using sugar, I would be adding that into my dry ingredients, but since I am using honey, the sweetener will go into my wet ingredients. And so we're going to add 2 tablespoons, give or take, of honey. This honey's really thick because it was down in the cold room. And we need 4 eggs for this recipe. Okay, so for doing this, it has this insert that goes right over there, like so. And actually, I'm going to do it this way. And then the waffle iron itself sits right on there to heat up. Why is that not fitting right in there? There we go. So we'll heat it up like this, and then when we're gonna flip it over, we flip it over like so. And apparently somebody left me a comment in my last video saying that back in 1908, she found an article, or maybe somebody mentioned it to her, I'm not sure, that a really good cook could heat the waffle iron up and then make 2 waffles in that period of time. I am definitely not that kind of expert, so this is going to be, I'm sure the first few waffles are not going to be great, but by probably the 5th or 6th one, we'll have it down. So now we're just gonna heat this up 2 to 3 minutes to get it all heated, and while we're doing that, we'll get our batter mixed. Okay, there we go. So we're going to make sure that we have lots of butter melted on here, and we should probably get an oven mitt because that gets very hot. There. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this, and once this starts sizzling, I'm going to call it hot enough. Okay, so this is the tricky part because it's figuring out the right amount of batter to add so it doesn't overflow the sides. As you can see, I am definitely not an expert in cooking waffles on a wood cook stove, but by the end of the winter, I hope to be. So I'd say that's probably good. Okay, now we have to get our timer. Okay, and we want to keep our stove nice and hot and the flames nice and high. Cooking along the edge there. I don't know why cooking on a wood cook stove is so much more fun than cooking on a convention or electric stove. It's fun. Oh my gosh! Look at that! Wow! Look at it! Now the question is this going to come off easily? Oh, it actually needs a few more minutes on that side. I opened it too soon. Okay, this is really exciting. If my first waffle can turn out, I am going to consider that a good omen for the rest of them. So exciting. I think it's because I just put that log in and it kind of blocked the heat from coming up to right there. Aha, there we go. Just opened it up so that the flame can come up against this, because when I put the log in, it was pushed over like that, which is kind of blocking it. So I think that's going to work better. I think I probably could have used a little bit more fat on here, but it's not sticking. It is kind of sticking, not too bad. Look at that! I love how crispy it is. That's so exciting. Okay. Ah, there we go. That's the sizzle that we want to hear. Okay, so that amount was good. One thing you do have to get used to is using an oven mitt all the time when you're using a cook stove, because it is hot. Okay, timer. I don't know why food tastes so much better cooked on a wood cook stove. I'm talking to Dan behind, he's holding the camera, by the way. I don't know why food cooked on a wood cook stove tastes so much better than it being cooked on an electric stove. I don't know if it's because there's more technique involved and there's the kind of the smoky flavor. I don't know, but it is delicious. So we are going to have banana caramel waffles this morning because I don't have any whipping cream. I don't have any cream from yesterday. So we're chopping up some bananas right now, and then I'm going to go make some caramel. We will use our warming oven for putting the waffles in. We are going to make our caramel on the cook stove. When we bought this stove, it came with quite a few of these awesome cast iron pans. It came with this, the waffle maker, and this pot, and a few other pans too. I was so grateful for that. Okay, so we're gonna put some butter in there. That is a hot stove.
Is it already melting?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I think we'll make some honey caramel today. So add a bunch of honey in there. It's hot to stand over it. I actually really like it when you're just kind of cooking and you're not having to just like stir stuff.
The best job if it was minus 30.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially back in the day when you were living in a shanty that was just tar papered. You'd probably want to be the cook because then you could always stay warm standing by the fire. I'm just gonna let this one get really crispy on the other side and see if that makes it easier to pull it off. Oh, we got some bubbles happening in our caramel. This is exactly what I was worried about using this small pot. And the thing about cast iron is it retains heat. So when you're pulling it off the heat, if it's gonna start boiling over, it's already gonna have a ton of heat in it and keep going. So just keep that in mind. This is going to need some close watching. People that know what they're doing with these must just be wanting to leap through the screen and help us. It's tempting to hang your handles off the side of the stove so they're not hot, but avoid that temptation just because somebody could knock that off and pour that all over themselves. I think too.
Whole wheat batter?
I did, yeah. I think that it could use a slightly thinner batter too than a electric one. Okay, let's try that and see. I'm just using my candy thermometer and I want it to go up to the softball level for caramel. So I think we can actually move that onto the heat a little bit more. Now time to flip our waffle. And reset. And I'm not going to open it. I'm going to use some self-control and wait till the timer goes off again. And we're so close. Doesn't this look beautiful? So gorgeous. Couple more degrees and we're there. So I used some self-control and I didn't open it until the timer went off. And I think that, oh, look at that. It's perfect. Now, this side keeps sticking a little bit though. I wonder if it's just because it's cooler, like right over on this side. Oh, there we go. Not perfect, but getting closer. So I've added my vanilla and my cream to our honey caramel. I will put a recipe down in the show notes for honey caramel. I'm just kind of winging this recipe, but there's lots of good ones out there. And caramel and bananas is such a delicious combination. Yeah. Oh, look! Look! It's perfect! Okay, well, it doesn't really look perfect, but it came off perfectly. Okay, I feel like we're getting somewhere here. So exciting! You know what I just realized, which you probably all noticed as I was doing this, is I was only buttering one side of the pan, which would be why the top side was sticking more than the bottom side. Okay, I'm going to get all of the steps to this. I will. It's happening. So we're 8 waffles in at this point, and I feel like I am starting to get it actually figured out. Slowly but surely. The 3 minutes on each side though definitely seems to be the sweet spot for time. Just gonna check on our, oh, there we go. Starting to thicken up perfectly. Okay, now we flip and reset our timer. Let's see if we have it down, Dan. Oh, it looks pretty perfect. Yes, Dan, it worked. Yay. It's definitely not as kind of fluffy and crispy as the thicker batter, but it did work. Okay, so now just to show kind of the refined process, I'm putting butter on the hot side. Spreading it around. closing and flipping. Whoops. Trying to do it with more finesse. Open. More butter. Spread that around. Wait till it starts sizzling and it's nice and hot. Add batter. Close. Set the timer for 3 minutes. Let's check our caramel again. See how much that is thickening up. I think that looks perfect.
As McClary's changed their tooling because they joined with GSW, so they stopped stamping their cast iron stuff as McClary's after 1936.
So this is old, this is 1930, okay.
36.
Wow, that's so cool.
So it's at least 90 years old.
That's amazing. That is the coolest thing.
So it could tell some stories.
It could definitely tell some stories. Oh, honestly, that just makes my heart happy. Definitely would have been good to serve these fresh because they would have been a little bit crispier because now they're kind of soft, but that's okay. I'm sure they're gonna still taste delicious. A little bit of butter on there. There's my timer. Hey hun, would you be able to grab that timer for me? Big mound of delicious bananas on there. And then some caramel. Oh, doesn't that look delicious? Oh my goodness. It's pretty decadent looking, isn't it? Look at that. Okay, let's feed some hungry kiddos. Breakfast time! Doesn't it look so good?
It seriously does.
Delish.
I guess I'll put it on the stairs
Just gonna go plug in the tractor so I can move that pile.
Okay. How does it taste?
Good.
Is it good?
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. This may be one of the most satisfying meals that I have ever made. It took, I think, 15 waffles to get to the point where I feel like I have them sort of down, to be at least consistent. The kids said that these tasted like a fancy restaurant waffle, so I consider that pretty high praise. Breakfast is all done, the kitchen is all clean, and I have decided to step outside and just soak up a couple of minutes of sun while I have the chance, because this time of year our days are very short and we don't have a lot of opportunity to be outside. I especially find that because a lot of my indoor work is kind of between, I come back in the house by 7:30 in the morning after doing morning chores, and then I'm in the house doing all of my morning work until probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which doesn't leave a lot of time before the sun goes behind the mountain at 3 to get outside and get a little bit of sun. So I looked out the window just now and I saw the sun was kind of peeking behind the clouds up there, and thought I would just take advantage of it and come out and get some sun. While I'm taking my little stroll out here, I'm just going to run down to the barn and grab Albus's heated cat bed, because we are going to make a little heated house for him and put the cat bed inside of it so that he has a little bit of extra protection for the really cold temperatures. Okay, got the cat bed. I cannot recommend these heated cat beds enough. They are so fantastic for winter time. And we're going to be using a lick tub, and I'll show you what that is in a second, to build this little house.
I was just thinking if we trim right here, just so it sits down flat, and then we'll just put a cat size opening and then put blanket in it.
Okay, that sounds awesome. You know what we could also do is just cover the top of this with a blanket too, and that way if he just wants to sit up on the top he can.
that's a great idea.
And then it would also give it some extra insulation.
That's a really good idea. Plus it'll be warm up there too.
Yeah, it'll be cozy. Oh, okay.
That's tall. No. Should we do it right perfectly center? So?
No, I kind of feel like we should do it so that it's back, because then this part will be out at the front of it, and then he
That
wants
far
to, yeah, and then if he just wants to kind of sit here with his little head poking out, he can
How big of a door do you want?
rest on here. Not a very big one, just big enough for him to get in comfortably, because then it will help to retain some heat, right?
Let's get technical.
This is a very technical project.
Let's see.
It's perfect. Okay, so now we need to bring it down to the barn now and go and set it up.
Like a hot kitty porch.
It is. Oh yeah. It fits perfectly. I love it. There. So now we just need the extension cord. There we go, the light's on. See what he thinks. Hey, bud. Aw, what do you think, buddy? That's adorable.
He's made himself right at home.
Yeah, you just made yourself right at home, didn't ya? He's purring. Aww. Well, I think he likes it. It's so great. Aw, that makes me happy. So we'll just put his food dish up here.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
I think the door was a good size.
Yeah, it is a good size. What do you think? Do you like it? So that was definitely a success. He's a happy kitty. I hope you enjoyed today's video, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.